Hi everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video. It's a do-it-yourself video on how to get rid of carpenter ants. And last fall and summer I had a really bad problem with carpenter ants. I watched hundreds of YouTube videos and Googled every answer I could find. I also contacted a number of exterminators. It took a long time, but I was successful in getting rid of them. I want to show you today what products worked for me and what products didn't. I'm not suggesting these products don't work at all, but they didn't work for me. I also watched a number of YouTube videos that were very helpful. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But let me start with the products. As you can see, I invested a lot of money on products. Some of the products were specific for carpenter ants. Some of them were just insect killers or ant killers. Some of them were for just killing on contact. The best ones and the ones you need if you really want a permanent solution are the ones that are bait and they take back to their nest, and eventually the object is to kill the queen and get rid of the ants that way. So let's start. This Spectricide Bug Stop works great as a barrier. It'll keep bugs out and it kills them on contact. It does nothing, however, to eradicate the larger problem. So this works great if you just want to keep bugs out of your house or out of a room, or set up a temporary barrier. Worked well, not a permanent solution. Same thing for this Advanced Bear. This is a carpenter ant and termite killer. Again, kills on contact, not a permanent solution. But they both worked if you're just looking to kill a few ants. Amdro Ant Block, also the Spectricide Shield, and this Ortho Home Defense. I use these around the outside of the house before I got the problem inside my house. They seem to keep most insects out. I still use it now as a shield around the house. It's supposed to repel them for up to 6 months. It usually lasts 1 or 2 rains for sure. If it doesn't rain, it'll last longer. Again, it's another thing that supposed to keep bugs out. I would just invest in one of them. I've been using this Spectricide Ant Shield. It seems to work okay. It doesn't get rid of any of the nests though. They seem to pick it up. If they take it back to the nest, it doesn't seem to kill the queen ever. I've been using it for a number of years just as a preventative measure. Take it or leave it. So those are those. This is another one. Home Defense Ortho Max, keeps bugs out supposedly. Ant gel. When you're trying to get rid of a nest, you're supposed to use bait. You're supposed to use a protein-based bait and a sugar-based bait, because that's what carpenter ants eat. They don't eat the wood. They just chew through the wood. In my case, they were in my attic going through my spray foam insulation. That's where they were living once they got in there. So I had to use both the sugar-based bait and the thing that I will show you that absolutely worked miracles for me. I think it was a protein-based bait, but that worked great. This, I put it in a little bottle cap all over the house in the attic. They just crawled right past it looked like to me. I didn't see any of them actually go into it, take any of it back to their nest. So I can't say that this worked at all. I'm not sure if it's specific for carpenter ants or not, but I wouldn't spend too much money on this. It wasn't too expensive, but okay, we're back with some more products here that I used. This is a boric acid powder. I saw an online video where a bunch of people made baits out of boric acid and sugar water. It seemed to work great for them online. It did not work for me. I made a bunch of bait with the sugar water and the boric acid and dipped a little cotton balls in them and left them out. The ants took a look but didn't really seem all that interested. So that didn't work for me. It seemed to work for a number of people on YouTube, however, so maybe it'll work for you. This is a kind of a spray, crack and crevice spray. Again, this works great if you want to get stuff up into areas where you can't reach. This is again a contact killer. So not going to totally solve your problem, but it worked well if you have to get up into cracks and crevices. Liquid taro liquid ant baits. I can't say that it was specific for carpenter ants, but it kills a lot of other ants all over the place on the outside. So if that's a problem for you, this worked very well. Killed a lot of little ants. Now here's what really worked for me. I had to take a two-prong approach. I had to use bait to have the ants pick up the bait and bring it back to their nest, and this advanced granular carpenter ant bait was the best. It's big enough to where little ants can't really pick it up, I guess, and big enough and attractive enough to where carpenter ants love it. So I saw them crawl over it every once in a while, but once I started using this, things went really, really well for me. And the way you use this is you can sprinkle it all around your house, but you can also use these bait traps. You open these up, put bait in here, these stick in the ground, and they have little tiny holes where the ants can crawl up and get into the bait. I put them around my house about every 4 feet or so, and these worked fantastic. So I would suggest getting these, filling it with these. However, now I have a dog, and somehow these are attractive to my dog, and she chews them up. So I have to figure out a solution to that. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. Inside the house, I use this Dryone. This is a very fine powder, and apparently it sticks to the ants' legs. They take it back to the nest, or they clean themselves. Apparently carpenter ants are very clean. Once they start licking themselves, or however they clean themselves, they ingest this and it kills them. This I put into the walls of my attic, and I'll show you how I did that in a little bit. But to get them into the walls, you use this little puffer thing. The powder goes in here. Take this off, and you press down, and it's like an old-fashioned little puffer into the walls. And the combination of this and this was what finally solved my carpenter ant problems. It was a mess. I had carpenter ants all over the house, crawling in my kids' rooms, just crawling over the living room floor when we were watching TV. There weren't a ton of them, but there were enough to let me know that they were there. And I finally was able to solve it with these two products. I'm not saying the other products I showed you weren't effective, but these worked for me. So hopefully this can save you some time. But I'll show you how I used it in the walls in just a little bit. Hi everyone, so I'm in the attic, and I'm going to show you the access port that I installed in the ceiling in between two joists to give me access to where I think the concentrated portion of the nest was. And I also drilled about 1/2-inch holes in between the studs in one of the walls to spray in the Dryone powder. A sure sign of a carpenter ant problem is frass. That's the stuff they leave behind. Little wood shavings, you can kind of see them there, and they kind of pile up. All right, well, I hope that helps you guys. It was a problem for me. It took me a long time, but once I got the right stuff and got the right traps going and the right setup, the problem worked itself out. So good luck. If you have any questions or comments, be constructive, and check back, and hopefully I'll have some other helpful videos for all our DIY homeowners out there. Thanks.